Sudanese Sufis' role in the establishment of villages and cities. It is a new episode goes on as a continuation to my first presentation that focuses on presenting the Sudanese social role played by Sufis in the country. However, in this special episode, I would like to go on by providing examples to names of villages and cities back to its very establishment to Sudanese Sufis, starting from following period, that is in 1504, 1821 to pre-independence time. Sufism and Islam are today synonyms for the Sudanese population at the time and as a historical process, which is clearly reflected in its material culture. That is a view of Indisar Sugairun in her study Islam in the French and Ottoman periods in Sudan, a historical and archaeological approach, 2021. In many cases, the Nicholas for a settlement is perceived to be a religious sheikh. Around the sheikh religious school, a village would develop, which systematically and gradually developed into a town. On his death, sheikh would be buried in a gubba or tomb. This became a visitation site for the sheikh followers in a town or a village, which by then have grown into an urban center of significance. In Sudan, Sufis like Sheikh Yaqut say they are more concerned with the essence of religion rather than appearances. They, Sufis, seek a more personal path to God. Sheikh Yaqut says that 85% of the Sudanese are Sufis. Sheikh Yaqut says that 85% of Sudanese are Sufis, and they are villages and towns named after Sufi holy men all over the country. For more information in this area, see James Cobnell, A Poisonous Thorn in Our Hearts, Sudan and South Sudan, Better and Incomplete Divorce, paperback, June 1st, 2014, page 11 at Amazon website. The Quran and water are the elements by which many of Sudan's cities and villages were established. Sufis are not settled in any particular location. Instead, they spread the teachings of the Quran to instruct people and dig wells for cattle and people. By doing this, they are able to provide an example for others to follow by their deeds rather than their words. Islam is spread by social services and benevolent deeds from this point on, as the religion virtually became embodied in the sheikh, the Sufi sheikh, much like the Prophet's status or statue was among his people. There is hardly a plain, mountain, or a valley in Sudan's geography and history that is devoid of masjid, burning its fire to mean material and spiritual safety. As a result, Sudan was formed with villages and cities centered around these bright spots, while the surrounding society harmonized and even resisted the harsh climate in an environment as harsh as its intense tropical sun. So many villages and towns spread out through the four corners of the country back to its very existence and establishment to Sufis. In fact, it is not easy to count such great numerous numbers of these villages as well as of cities that have been established by Sufis. Just to name a few, we can say So here I would like just to give example to some Sudanese cities or villages that have been established by Sufis throughout different times. ومرح الشيخ الطيب ود مدني السني حلة حمد حلة خوجلي وتحسون حاج عبد الله ومضوم بان الهلالية حلة الشيخ الياقوت ومسيد ود عيسى ود الترابي كدباس دامر المجذوب كسل السيد الحسن الزريب الشيخ البرعي الكباشي طابة الشيخ عبد المحمود طابة الشيخ السماني طيب الشيخ الغور الشمعدان الشيخ السماني طيب الشيخ عبد الباقي الشكينيبة الشيخ المكاشفي عمارة الشيخ هجو والدلماصع منارة الشيخ عبد الله ود العجوز سرحان الشيخ طاي الله الكريد الشيخ عمر قرية الشيخ طلحة ود هاشم ريب الشيخ النور أبو حراز villages Yaqubab and the Yaqubab villages. Most of the Yaqubab villages and most of Abu Haraz villages have been or were established by Sufis. Either they belong to the clan of the Arakiyun in the central Sudan, that is Abu Haraz villages, or in the Yaqubab area, they belong to the clan of Yaqubab, that is in the west of Sinnar. I would like to remind you, the audience, that just I'm presenting a sample of the villages and cities that have been established by Sudanese Sufis throughout different times of the history of the country. So just here I would like in this space to present the foundation of some Sudanese cities and villages. Just it has been taken here as an example. Ad-Damar. Ad-Damar is located 300 kilometers north of capital Khartoum. It is the capital of the River Nile state, and it considered one of the ancient administrative and historical cities in Sudan. The history of Ad-Damar is closely related to the history of the Majazib, a very famous, wide-known clan in the area who founded the city, who founded Ad-Damar, and their great-grandfather Idris ibn Hamad, who lived in Mecca for a long time, and three of his sons spread his teachings in different parts of Sudan, including Muhammad al-Mayzoub Abdullah, known as the Doro man, known as the Dro man. Dero is the ancient name of Sha'dinab area after Sheikh Sha'ad-Din and his son Hamad, who chose the area of Ad-Damar and resided there, and his grave is still a shrine in the area to this day, in which he established a retreat or khalwa, where he went on devotion and worship. People gathered around him to take advantage of his knowledge and science, ilm. So he established a mosque. People built their home around the mosque, and the Juris Hamad gained the trust of the residents, merchants, and local leaders through his asceticism, piety, and good relations with the shuyukh of the other Sufi Turuq in the area. The city has become the focus of attention of many people visiting it in search of knowledge, treatment, fatwas, and trade. And Khalaw al-Majazib, the Quranic school established by the Majazib, has gained over the years great fame and good reputation in religious education in Sudan by teaching the Holy Quran and its sciences and the sciences of the Arabic language. So students of science and murids from within the Sudan attracted to Ad-Damar, so it grew up and became a commercial center, a center of cultural tradition, a center of cultural radiation, and a reliable place cultural enlightenment and a reliable place to settle the differences between the disputed. A Swiss traveler and Orientalist named Johann Burckhardt visited it in 1812 during the French era. He also noted that scholars from the Shanagit from Mauritania, the current or the modern day, the modern country, in its modern name, that is Mauritania. In the past time in Sudan, it come to be known as the land of Shanagit, Bilad al-Shanagit. So Shanagit scholars visited the mosque of Al-Majzoub and Al-Majazib in Al-Damar while crossing on their way to the Hajj, and that many people from nearby nations, including the Fallata, the Takarin, the Borno, and the Giberta were studying in Al-Damar. He compared the Burckhardt compared it to a nearby villages, compared Al-Damar with the other villages, and that is in the year 1812. Where drinking, alcohol, and other things forbidden to Muslims were common. So Al-Damar is an exception. That is because of the presence of Al-Majazib clan with their a strong devotion, with a strong adherence to science and religion. They were away from what is running on around the villages near the place. So Burckhardt said that the tolerance approach adopted by the Shuyukh of Al-Damar had led to a flourishing trade and agriculture. In addition to establishing security in the city, Al-Damar, the traveler Burckhardt talked about what he called the supernatural abilities of the Majazib, such as their prediction of the unseen. Everyone feared these capabilities, as never has a signal caravan or of pilgrims and merchants been exposed to bandits and thieves, as was common at that time, if they knew that there was one of the Majazib in the caravan. Together with Burckhardt, Damar hosted several foreign visitors and Orientalists who passed through the city, such as the late Scottish writer James Pross, who wrote about it in his book, Discovering the Sources of the Nile. We came to the city of Al-Damar, the city of Al-Faqih with Al-Majzoub, a senate of the Ja'aliyin clan. So Pross arrived in Al-Damar in October 1771. To attract the nomads even more to the faith, Sheikh Hamad al-Majzoub wrote a book of poems and set it to music, which he taught to some disciples who accompanied during the Nishuk. Babakir or Yusuf Badri in his study believed that due to the nomad's fascination with the linguistic ability, as well as a factor, Damar grew into a large town. So in this concern, I would like to say that Damar has been taken here as an ancient historical city that has been established by Sufis during French Sultanate. Hillat Khojali, another area established by Sufi. Another sheikh who attempted to initiate a process of urbanization in a very deliberate and structured manner was Sheikh Khojali Abu Jaz. That is the view of Ali Saleh Karrar, 1992, in his study, Sufi Brotherhood in Sudan. His college established at Halfaya, in the present-day Khartoum North, and contributed to the process of urbanization in the area. His choice of site encouraged the development of an urban center around it. With the ruler's help, he acquired estates and annexed schools, hostels, guest rooms, and large residential areas to the mosque. Sheikh Khojali refused the traditional pattern of the ulama and wore magnificent clothes, soft shoes, and good perfumes. He was also known for his concern for women and is praised for teaching and educating them how to pray. This is interesting as the masjids and mosques are predominantly the domains of men. Generally, Khojali's teachings and religious establishment survive because of his willingness to adapt a change in the society. That is the view of Yusuf Badri in his study in 1970. Hillat Hamad. The Sudanese suburb of Hillat Hamad is situated in Khartoum, more precisely Khartoum North, one of the oldest neighborhoods in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. The name's origin can be traced back to Sheikh Hamad al-Dammarium, a very influential Sudanese Sufi. Hillat Hamad established the first school team in Bahri or Khartoum North, since it is regarded as the pioneer in the field of scouting movements. It began when Sheikh Hamad al-Dammarium relocated from Tuti Island to the southwest corner of the Nile, which faces the island, and that is in the year 1692. So the establishment of Hillat Hamad as the suburb and part of Khartoum was in the year 1692. Following a disagreement with his sheikh, Sheikh Hamad al-Dammarium moved from Tuti area to the east on the advice of his cousin Khojali, Sheikh Khojali Abu Jaz. He settled in the southwest on a beach across from his area, Tuti, where he built his mosque and retreat, Khalwa. He moved there with his family and lovers, and gradually many disciples came together to support him. His relationships with Abdullah rulers was solidified in their capital Garri before it moved to Halfaya. So together Hillat Hamad and Hillat Khojali can be taken also as an example that have been established by Sufis and in this concern, that is during French Sultanate, an indication that the indication that Sufis have the greatest contribution on the consolidation of Islam from one side, and at the same time of serving the society from another side. So this is just, it can be taken as an example. Wat Husuna, another area established by Sufi Sheikh. Wat Husuna was established by Sheikh Hassan Wat Husuna, who died in 1664 or 1665 according to Ali Saleh Karar's study, Sufi Brotherhood in Sudan. So Karar said about Wat Husuna, a grandson of Maghrebi immigrant from Tunisia, he was celebrated for protecting the people against the rulers. Wat Husuna is inhabited by his descendants known as Al-Hasunab of Sharifian descent. Sheikh Hassan Wat Husuna is a Gadari, and his Gadari center of learning was new in that it was deep in the countryside, away from the river between the Red Sea and Sinai. So the establishment of Wat Husuna, by the way, in that far area is considered an enlightening spot that tries to disseminate learning in that faraway countryside of the Sudanese villages. This village, Wat Husuna, was a center of hospitality. It was situated on the caravan road to Sawakin, and a large hafir, reservoir, and mud huts were built for wayfarers and guests. Certain observers said that his guests, the guests of Shah Hassan and Husuna, houses were equal in number to those of the king of Sinnar. In spite of his wealth, it is said that the Sheikh Hassan of Husuna lived a very frugal life, and his diet was mainly dura, porridge, and milk. His clothes were a short shirt and long trousers. He was often bareheaded and barefoot, and he preferred the solitude of the countryside. He also wore a coarse, demure, rough hand-woven clothes or cotton cloth. Despite that, he is so rich, and his richness and his wealth has no count. Despite that, and as an ascetic, he followed that way of austerity, putting in consideration that his only focus is to serve people. When he came to the village that he established, he was Husuna, from the countryside, it is said the Sheikh was always greeted with much fanfare and drum beating. He stated that the village would be brave. He always had a alim or religious scholar with him to teach the ilm. He would receive visitors in an ordinary fashion in his diwan. His masjid, which contains his tomb, was built in 1669 and was an important sanctuary, and his hafir, a source of water, according to Badri. The village has grown little because the caravan route no longer passes through it, and new roads were constructed further east. Social and economic change led to the development of new urban centers at the expense of the original masjids. Al-Fijaja, another area of light established by Sufi. Al-Fijaja Muhammad bin Sarhan al-Awadi, Sayrun, another Qadri teacher, eldest son of Fatima bint Jabir, followed his maternal uncles, Awlad Jabir. He combined ilm and amal, science and action or practice, in addition to fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence and Sufism, and taught at the school of Awlad Jabir. Awlad Jabir were the most eminent religious scholars in the northern region during the second half of the 16th century. The four sons of Jabir were like four elements. Each one had his own virtue. The most learned of them was Ibrahim, the most worthy Abdurrahman, the most pious Abdurrahim, and their sister Fatima were their equal in learning and faith. Saghirun accepted the invitation of the French Sultan Badi I, 1611-1617, and went to Dar al-Abwab near Shandi. According to Ibn Dayfallah, Muhammad Nur al-Dayfallah, in his book Tabaqat, Professor Hassan Yusuf Fadul Hassan, 1992, 2000, or page 225, stated he placed his sagia, he referred here to Saghayru, Sheikh Muhammad Sarhan, established his sagia, water well, in a boat and left for the land of the Shagia, a northern Sudanese riparian tribe, with his family and his sons. It is said that after hours of disagreement with his students, he was guided by Khidr to settle in Gwaz al-Mutraq, south of Shandi, which was then an area of bush. Settling there, he made a small clearing, and Al-Fijaja was granted to him by Sultan Badi and became one of the centers of religious and legal education in the northern French territories. After Suhayrun's death, the school continued under his son. When the son died in 1675, his pupils were set to a number about 1,000, most of whom became jurists and judges over a vast area that extended as far as Wadai in modern Chad. Al-Fara or Al-Qubba. Al-Fara or Al-Qubba, by the way, it is the modern day area known as Al-Kabbashi. Al-Kabbashi, by the way, here is referring to my master Sheikh Ibrahim Al-Kabbashi, a very influential Qadiri Sheikh. So to him, the credit of the establishment of this famous religious area is back to him. So Al-Kabbashi established his own Qadiri branch, Farah, and traveled widely in the Jazeera, instructing people in both fiqh and Sufism. At Gari, the former capital of the Abdullah, he settled in a large area of wasteland. The bush was teeming with wild animals, which attacked the Abdullah livestock. They requested Sheikh Ibrahim Al-Kabbashi to pray to God to drive them off. In return for his prayers and supplication, Al-Kabbashi was granted the area which came to be known as Al-Fara, literally meaning the branch. Indication that this area is so full with forest and trees. After his death, the village was known as Al-Qubba, or the tomb, and the tomb, by the way, had been erected to him, and from that time, it has come to be replaced by the name Al-Kabbashi. For more information, see Ali Saleh Karrar in his study Sufi Brotherhood in Sudan, 1992, page 32. Kadabas, another area in the very establishment, and it is very establishment referring or returning back to a Sufi. Sheikh Ahmad al-Ja'ali established a village of Kadabas on the west bank of the Nile from Berber. On Umrah, minor pilgrimage, she was instructed by the Prophet Al-Khidr to detach himself from worldly matters. Returning, Sheikh Ahmad entered into a 7-year retreat or khalwa in Anqar. Qar, artificial cave built in imitation of the Prophet who retreated to a cave for religious devotions. So he built and established his center at Kadabas. After he emerged, he contacted all the well-known Sufis, asking to be initiated. He was told that the one who will initiate him would come to him. A Persian mystic later came to Berber and initiated him. It is believed that he arrived there by divine guidance. It's worth noting that Sheikh Ahmad Ja'ali had been initiated to Qadiriya by Sheikh Abdurrahman al-Khurasani. Wamban, a very influential Sufi center known with its concern of the disseminating of the Holy Quran, that is the center of Wamban. So Wamban, as other some Sudanese cities and villages, back to its very establishment to a Sufi. So Sheikh Al-Ubaid with Badr met Al-Hasan Al-Mirqani in Mecca, where he gave his prophecy that Al-Ubaid would establish a religious center in a place where there is a tree with many flies. The Khalwa and the Sufi center at Wamban, literally mother of flies, near Khartoum North, is considered to be one of his miracles. One of the miracles of Sayyid Al-Hasan Al-Mirqani. So that is because he gave his prophecy that a city will be established in that area. Some believe that Dubban or flies actually refers to bees. The center is now known as Wamban, the area of the light that is revealed. With Madani, very influential, famous area, and it is very establishment also back to a Sufi. Here is the story. With Madani, the capital of Jazeera state, and formally it is the Middle region. It is one of the biggest cities in Sudan, located roughly 186 kilometers south of Khartoum. With the arrival of the jurist Al-Faqih Muhammad Al-Amin ibn Al-Faqih Madani in 1489 AD, the city was founded. So with Madani set up his retreat Khalwa to teach the Quran and jurisprudence, and eventually the area started to grow up. Residential neighborhood sprang up around it. Sheikh Wad Madani is a famous Sufi sheikh descended from an ancient Sudanese family with great Sufi heritage. His grandfather is Dishan, known as the Judge of Justice, while from his father's side his lineage ends with Muhammad al-Hamim Wad Abdul Sadiq, the first Sudanese to be initiated into the Qadiriyya by Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari, to whom the dissemination of its teachings is attributed. In the early 19th century, Wad Madani was a small Turco-Egyptian outpost, which grew rapidly following the 1925 Jazeera scheme of irrigation to stimulate local economic development. Wad Madani is